and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to the Danish Darts Open. That's coming to you from Copenhagen. Yes, indeed. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for a place in the semi-finals, it's time to meet the players. Would you please welcome from England, the King, Mervyn King. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Australia, the former European champion and former World Championship finalist, it's the Wizard, Simon
Well, for those of you that tune in to all the darts action on PDC TV, you will know that we had two men last weekend pick up their first titles of 2018. And the same thing is going to happen a week later, because the elimination of Peter Wright against Mensah Suljovic means that all the players left in the field are yet to win a ranking title. The slight discrepancy in that tale is that Suljovic won the World Series event, the German Darts Masters. In terms of ranking titles, it's a real chance for someone to bolster their Order of Merit prize fund by £25,000 tonight. It's been a long time since either Mervyn King or Simon Whitlock won a tournament on the stage in particular. Whitlock did win a Hall of Floor event, about 5 in the space of 6 months between 2016 and 2017. But in terms of winning on the stage, the Wizards' last title would have been that European Championship success in 2012. Mervyn King, a winner on the European Tour, as is the Wizard as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg, Mervyn to throw first. Game on.
But the chance for one of them to take a huge step towards enjoying glory again. And when King and Whitlock won their European Tour crowns, and indeed even the European Championship finals for Simon Whitlock, they wouldn't have had crowds like this. Rob Malarkey.
No, they wouldn't. It's a very different era, and it's a very different encounter for Simon Whitlock and Mervyn King. But as you say, they both have had success on the European Tour stage before. Simon Whitlock, the winner of the Dutch Darts Masters in 2012, and Mervyn King, the winner of the European Grand Prix 2 years later.
Beating Whitlock en route, as I recall, in the Glass Palace.
100.
Mensah Suljovic against Adrian Lewis in the first semi-final tonight. The winner of this one will take on either Steve West or Brendan Dolan. The latter did for Michael van Gerwen in the shock of the European Tour season, perhaps.
And who knows, we may well see one of those two become a first-time winner on the European Tour as well. Brendan Dolan has made a final before.
100.
Steve West made the semi-finals last time around in Gibraltar. Wherever you turn, there is a potential story here this weekend.
Certainly is, certainly has that feel about it, and the Danish Darts Open has not disappointed in edition 1, has it? It's been a fantastic tournament, some incredible drama, some top quality too, and the Danes
83.
have been great in the crowd.
20.
Really bought into this.
Yeah, they've turned up in big numbers, and they've been a very vociferous crowd, but a very sensible crowd as well. They've not been the source of too much disorder.
Well, that was Mervyn King's first ton plus finish of the tournament and bodes well for this quarter-final. 120 to take the first leg against a player who has been posting very similar statistics up until now. The averages in the 97s from the previous two matches for both of these players. The check-out in the mid 40% for both of the pair. Although Mervyn King's had it slightly harder because both of his matches went all the way to a last leg decider.
Yes, they did indeed, and I think this has all the hallmarks of a potential 11-leg encounter as well, and I'm pretty sure that many of the correct score backers out there may well have taken a look at Mervyn King's route to this quarter-final and taken note of those 2-6-5 wins, the first against the German #1 Max Hopp, a winner on the Euro Tour earlier this year, and the other against the world champion Rob Cross, no less. 7-1-8 for Mervyn King so far this weekend. That match against Rob Cross was really nip and tuck, every leg going on the throw.
You do wonder how much it might have taken out of Mervyn King though, because he gave it the full King's speech after that one.
41.
Very emotional, charged, wasn't it? And well, I thought at one moment in time he was going to burst into tears. It was that sort of occasion.
99.
Simon Whitlock also involved in a match that went the distance earlier today against Ricky Evans in his third-round match. Simon Whitlock has been pounding that treble 20 bed this weekend as well. He has hit 9 180s in his first two matches.
Yeah, it's good to see Simon Whitlock playing with a smile on his face and a spring in his step.
Yeah, shot the second leg.
And he denies Mervyn King the chance to take out back-to-back 120 checkouts by finishing 62 in 2 darts. Clean as a whistle for the Wizard.
134.
Yeah, Whitlock, a player who hasn't reached a Euro Tour semi-final this year, although he did make the last 4 on 3 occasions in 2017.
140.
Merv's last run to the semis was in the European Darts Open. He made it all the way to the final as a qualifier a little over or a little under 12 months ago. And there's another 180 for the tally as well.
Yep, he's 8th of the weekend here in Denmark.
58.
That tournament where he made the final, losing to Peter Wright, was the last time he had to go through qualifying for one of these Euro Tour events. He's been an ever-present as a seeded player so far this year, as was the case in the final 4 events of last year as well.
Yeah, important run actually. Looking at the two seedings, 12 and 13, to hang on to those seeding positions. There is a sizable chasing pack. Now Mervyn King before this match hadn't had a ton plus finish. He took out 120 in the first
90.
leg. He just missed double 16 for 106 in the third. Whitlock looking at the bull.
Now looking at 19s. Looking at the bull again.
407.
Well, he found a way above the marker, but not quite high enough. Good attempt from Simon Whitlock.
And he may, well he will get another chance, because Merv has busted his score by hitting double 13 instead of double 4.
Well, he's having a little chuckle now, Mervyn King, but he doesn't mean to smile. Unbelievable, he mutters, as Whitlock looks for the same target to rub salt into the wound. That's how you do it, Merv.
Game on.
Yeah, and in a match in which I for one thought it would be a match of fine margins, Whitlock finds the relatively early break as well. He leads by 2 legs to 1. An abundance of previous encounters between these two. 34 as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure there might have been, or there may well have been, the qualifiers as well, which I sometimes overlook. But their most recent meeting was at Riesa last year in the last 16. Whitlock winning that one 6-1 with an average of just under a ton. Whitlock has in fact won 4 of the last 5 matches between these two.
Yeah, including the last 3, and all of them quite convincingly. A 6-0, a 6-2 and a 6-1.
Yeah. The bulk of their recent meetings have been on the Pro Tour in the Players' Championship Series. They did also meet in the Dutch Masters in 2015.
96.
King came out on top in that one, 6-5. In the third round that weekend. That was in Venray. That was a baking, I do remember, it was a baking hot day, that one. Must have been about 34 degrees in the shade outside.
It was 6-5 the other way when King beat Whitlock in Sindelfingen en route to his title in 2014. It was actually in the semi-final. I can kind of recall the match, but I hadn't remembered that it was that late in the tournament. Whitlock was trying to double his European Tour tally at the time.
Both players averaging over 100.
That's a disastrous start for Simon Whitlock because it's meant that Mervyn King's under little pressure.
52.
Well, it could have been a lot better for Mervyn King, that. And Whitlock might just have the chance to get back on track here, or at least back into a position where he might think about launching a challenge, but so far he's making a bit of a hash of this.
58.
And it's only 58 scored, so King's got away with that. Tops then for King.
53. Simon Whitlock, 120.
Well, a few scratchy darts to get Simon Whitlock to this position, but he can hang on to his throw still. Be a huge adjustment to find the treble 19. Too big in the end.
Simon Whitlock, 20.
That dodgy double 5 now. One up,
10.
but not one in.
Simon Whitlock, 68.
I wonder if Merv will muster the word unbelievable again. He may well have done as he made his way back to the rear of the stage.
Is that his new one?
Oh, he's gone the wrong side.
There's been a lot of this.
He's messed that up. He's left himself double 16, but he might not get the chance.
Been a lot of it in this match from both players actually. Missed segments. We saw Mervyn King bust going for that earlier on. Whitlock's thrown wayward darts in 3 of the last 4 visits.
Well, the averages have absolutely plummeted as a result of that fourth leg. Well, I say plummeted, they've dipped. I won't exaggerate too much. Well, no, they have. Yeah, it's been a significant dip as a result of that.
Well, they were both above a ton, weren't they? Just
not so long ago, and now it's just above 90. So yeah, I'll stick to my guns on that one.
100.
So one last quarter-final, Steve West against Brendan Dole, and then we're into the semi-finals of the inaugural Danish Darts Open, and it is a wide-open field.
59.
If you were not here this afternoon because perhaps you were watching some other sporting tournament, you may have missed that Mervyn King defeated the world champion Rob Cross, and Brendan Dole knocked out Michael van Gerwen. So all the pressure was piled onto Peter Wright. Well, he was knocked out by Mensa Suljovic 6-4 in the first quarter-final tonight. Had a quick word with Simon Whitlock and he said, I'm really fancying my chances now. Not that I wasn't before, but, you know, obviously every player knows when the top seeds are tumbling.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, he wouldn't be human if he wasn't having a good look at that draw and thinking this is really opening up now.
We're into the quarter-finals and none of the top 5 seeds are there.
64.
Suljovic, the highest ranked player left in the field, and Suljovic may well have a revenge mission on his mind as well against Adrian Lewis, because it was Jackpot who did for him in Gibraltar last week, or 2 weeks ago I should say. Anyway, here Mervyn King needs this 138, otherwise Whitlock may well be in for a steal again, and that sets it up nicely.
104.
A few routes for this one. Simon looking at the treble 16, long way off it.
And he was quite a way below that treble 20 bet as well.
76, revenue bar 40.
A couple of concerning moments for Simon Whitlock in the opening stages of this one as we approach the midway point of this match. And Mervyn King, who trailed 2-1, gets his nose in front at 3-2.
Yeah, Whitlock will feel he should have led 3-1. Now he finds himself 2-3 behind. And he does look a little confused, Simon Whitlock, because as you said, he'd been very, very tight around that treble 20 for the duration of this tournament. But in this match, some of the darts have been missing by enormous margins.
Well, I for one think the departure of some of the big names in the higher profile, the higher ranked players in the field can create a lot of tension. It obviously opens things up and it gives players a great opportunity, but by the same token, one or two might be thinking, well, hang on, if I don't make the most of this, when will I make the most of this situation? It might not arise again for some time, and I think that can clearly have an impact.
In a field that includes Michael van Gerwen, much like when Phil Taylor was around,
97.
there's not much pressure on any other player. But when the big boys go out, that pressure cranks up a little bit, doesn't it?
And also, it's a long day, this final day on the Euro Tour. It's a very warm day as well here in Copenhagen, and that too may well be just beginning to take its toll. Been a fair bit of waiting around for these two to make their way back onto the stage. Mervyn King was involved in the 5th match of the afternoon session, so just after the midway point. Although Merv does like hanging around anyway, doesn't he? He often turns up very early for practice when he's on duty. Likes to spend a few hours in the practice room, perhaps more than most.
100.
Whitlock's got himself down to 46 with
62.
Plenty in hand after 5 visits.
46.
This time it's dead centre in the single that he went for. Having to shuffle across.
38. Mervyn Uruguay 155.
But to no great odds. And Mervyn King, well, he's against the odds, it'll take this out.
43.
He's not made too much of an inroad into that one either. Okay, he's left himself 1-1-2, but he needs Whitlock to miss this, and he hasn't.
Simon Whitlock. So make Mervyn to throw first. Game on.
And I have to say, once again, it is a tad to muster only 180 between them so far tonight, these two. But so we
97.
Just highlighted the extenuating circumstances as to why that might be the case.
Yeah, well, they had 16 between them coming into the match. Again, pressure off.
100.
Now the pressure's really on.
'83. $123.
That could have been the moment for Whitlock to do some real damage on the Mervyn King throw.
It's almost a misleading statistic, that, because Whitlock's checkout percentage has been better, but there's been a couple of occasions when he hasn't had a dart at a double because he's thrown a wayward one in the combination. He's had chances, Simon Whitlock, perhaps even more chances than Mervyn King, just not at doubles because he's messed it up before then. He's going to get chances in this leg too.
Well, there's his first 180 of the match for Simon Whitlock, and he's down to a finish of 98 on the King throw. There could be a chance here for Whitlock to break again. Was Mervyn King swatting away another fly? The fly that bothered Joe Cullen earlier on, maybe. Back again on stage.
Well, something else seemed to have bothered Joe Cullen. He's been on social media as he considered himself quote-unquote old man in that match.
60. Simon Uruguay 40.
Interesting comments as he departs the tournament and Adrian Lewis proceeds to the semi-finals. Is that where Simon Whitlock's heading? Because double top would give him a break.
No score.
Give me a break, says Simon.
Uruguay 141.
Mervyn obliges.
95. Simon Uruguay 40. And shot on the 7th there, Simon Whitlock. He'd like it Simon to throw first.
Well, Whitlock coming through, but again, without really pulling up too many trees, but he won't be minding too much about that.
He seems to be finding his range a little here, Simon Whitlock. He had that first 180 in the previous leg. He's found his second here. That's 11 for the tournament now for the number 12 seed.
Perfect from Whitlock.
Almost 23.
Perfect response by Mervyn King. Real chance though for Whitlock just to press ahead and try and just establish some daylight in this match, some real daylight for the first time.
Well, he went 7 darts
81
into the potential perfect leg earlier on, didn't he? Missing the treble 15. But he's going to put himself, surely,
96
in a very, very good position here. Having trailed 3-2 when he perhaps should have been in front at that point.
45.
Simon Whitlock should have the chance to go 5-3 up unless Mervyn King fires in something huge here.
96.
Yeah, the shoulders dropped, the head's dropped as well for Mervyn King. Excellent recovery, that just putting that first loose dart to the back of his mind and just finding the treble 20 with his final 2.
140.
Good response by King once again, though. Wouldn't say he's out of this leg just yet, because Whitlock's finishing hasn't been totally emphatic so far today, especially in this match. But it's bang on cue there, bang on the money. And it's a 5-3 lead. And that 16 dart leg is backed up very nicely indeed with a 14 dart leg.
Yeah, that was picture perfect from Simon Whitlock and pitched perfectly. That's exactly where he would have been aiming that dart, just under the double top wire, dead centre. And it has just seemed to have clicked on and moved up a gear in the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better now for the world number 8, Simon Whitlock.
$134. 81. 139.
Well, I think Simon Whitlock may be thinking about the next leg.
134.
Again, 128. Maybe not. He's down to 191, but Mervyn King, the strong fancy here. Another one of those would have left double 10, but it's not to be. No need to look so frustrated, Mervyn.
Yeah, we saw some of that earlier on from Mervyn King, like that was a gilt-edged opportunity that he just thrown away. It's not Merv, you're going to come back with 3 darts in hand.
Whitlock's on 191 and he's
41.
Only hit 41 there anyway, so. He does do that a lot, Mervyn King. He beats himself up so many times on stage.
Well, he might start beating himself black and blue now. Simon Whitlock has found himself at match point.
Oh. Unlucky. Would have left double 18, not to be.
90.
But this could be awkward, especially if Mervyn King comes inside on the second dart. Then he will beat himself up. But on we go, 5-4, and this is the one for Whitlock. This is where he wants to start off with a ton 80 and a ton 40 just to settle him into it.
Yeah, just try and hammer home the advantage of having to throw in this leg. Simon Whitlock. That's his aim, and that is a disappointing ton because he found the first start high in the treble 20 bed and was unable to follow it.
96.
First start high in the bed again. I'll be switching downstairs
131.
effectively as well. Whitlock potentially half a dozen darts away from a place in the semi-finals on the European Tour for the first time this year. In fact,
85.
First semi-final in a ranking event since April when he reached the last 4 in a Pro Tour. His only ranking semi-final this year. Of course, Australia did reach the last 4 at the World
100.
Cup.
Yep, along with his teammate Kyle Anderson. Raised eyebrows for Merv.
When Simon Whitlock was at his brilliant best, so when he burst onto the scene, the 170 was the shot. It was the Whitlock.
Well, the crowd sensing that he may well go for it. I'm not sure he would have, but you just sometimes never know with Simon Whitlock, but he's in great shape nevertheless here with 45 on the board to get.
He's about the only guy who could probably find a different way to take out 170 Simon Whitlock, isn't it?
Here we go then, Simon Whitlock for a place in the semi-finals of the Danish Darts Open. That's the simple part of the equation. Can he find the double 16? Yes, he can. And Simon Whitlock is through to the last four here in Copenhagen, through to the last four of a European Tour event for the first time this year. It's the end of the road for Mervyn King, who bids farewell to Denmark. But for Simon Whitlock, the dream is still very much alive. He has had success on the European Tour before, and he is, of course, a former European champion, and who knows, he could well go all the way. He'll go backstage now and find out who he'll face in the semi-final later this evening. Either Steve West or Brendan Dolan are lie in wait
Simon,
for the Wizard.
Congratulations into the semi-finals. This is a huge opportunity for you.
Yes, I realise that, and that's probably why that game got a bit harder than it should have. But, you know, total respect for Merv, he's playing great darts. That could have gone either way at 3-all, but lucky enough I won.
Obviously, there are some fantastic players left in this tournament, but with Michael van Gerwen going out, Peter Wright going out, Michael Smith going out yesterday, does that change the mindset of the rest of you? Do you start thinking, this could be my weekend?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the top boys have gone out, you know, gives us an opportunity, but, you know, we're all top boys as well. But you just got to play one game at a time and believe in yourself.
Certainly as a top boy, former European champion, the Wizard Simon Whitlock, through to the semi-finals of the Danish Darts Open. Two unseeded players coming up, fighting for the right to face the Wizard, Brendan Dolan and Steve West.